Howdy, fellow decor connoisseurs. Pris here today to go over some different decor basics and stacking methods as well. Just things that I think are going to be extremely important to your overall endeavors and decor journey, whether that be in a manor or inside of a residence. So, we're going to be talking about a couple of different things, or a few different things, I should say, that moving forward I think are going to be really, really, really useful. So with that, anything that we talk about will be listed down below under the description via timestamp, so you'll be able to jump to the exact topic that you're interested in, or if you needed to perhaps just run a quick replay of a particular set of, or just one of the methods that we might have covered. So moving forward, it is my intention that this guide is helpful and it provides any additional pieces of information that you might be missing or might not be wary of already that could be, again, a huge difference in making things a lot smoother for you. With that, if you have any questions, you can always leave a comment down below or reach out to me personally on Discord. Um, Most of us, I'm sure, are going to be coming from the Manor Discord, so you'll see me there. You can reach out anytime, and I'd be happy to get with you and, make sure that we can go over anything that might be kind of still holding you up or anything that was perhaps a little unclear. The other thing I want to mention is if there's ever anything that you find, whether it be in my manor or could be another manor, just something that you find and you're not really sure how to go about the build, can always reach out as well about that, and we can kind of tackle that together and see what would work best for you. But that's really it. Want to go ahead and dive into it from here and make sure we can get everything covered today. So let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty guys, now starting here with types of furniture, just to kind of kick things off, I'm going to be going over various types of furniture that we have in BDO and kind of what sets them apart from one another. So with that, I do want to say, by the way, this is my test manor, Shimmy Manor. I only use this manor for testing or teaching purposes, so don't mind any of the mess here. So let's go into place mode. All right. So first I want to start with what I like to call ground items. Now these are items that are fixed to the ground naturally. So no matter, like if I pick up a bookshelf, right, those are going to be ground items. If I try to raise my cursor in some fashion to pick this up, it's not gonna happen. If I try to put this on top of a table, it's still fixed to the ground no matter what. A lot of items are going to be ground items, and you'll see that even here, like with the tank, another form of a ground item, whereas this emerald tank is a table item. So sometimes items might be similar in size, however, they'll still be ground rooted, or if not in this case, a table item. But we'll get to that here in a second. So again, some other types of ground items. This chair here, chairs, again, normally going to be ground items. The Valentine or the Amore tank, that's definitely a ground item. So again, a lot of fixed items, just naturally fixed to the ground. So those are ground items. Moving forward, we have table items, such as these little coffee makers here. And what a table item is, would be anything, it doesn't have to necessarily be small, though they tend to be smaller items, but it's anything that can stack naturally on top of other items. So table items, when we're thinking about these methods that we'll be talking about today, it's essentially infinite stacking. So you could stack as high as the ceiling. So long as it's a table item, you can just keep building up higher and higher and higher. So if I wanted to, I could go as high as the ceiling with these coffee makers. Some other notable table items, these traditional long pillows. Another one is going to be, let's see here, like the Port Rat Jukebox. This is a table item, rather large. And again, just typical items that you might expect, such as this emerald gourd bottle and the little octo lamp here, little octo boy. Table items, again, you can just keep putting them higher and higher. Again, just dependent on the item, right? So those are table items. Next, we have wall items. So wall items are, and again, this is separate from curtains. We'll talk about that in just a second. But wall items are anything that naturally you can put on a wall, like this hanging flower rack. You can put it on this wall, maybe this wall, right? Have these moire shelves. This little hanging wall shelf here. Again, these items are all clipped in, so let's just pretend like that's not happening because that is abnormal. We have this little wall mirror here, right? And again, I can put it on really any wall so long as there's open space. We have paintings, mirrors in general. And that would be wall items as far as, variety goes there. Next, we have curtains. So curtains, whether they be, oops, let me move this out of the way, whether they be arches, go ahead and fix this guy, reset him, whether they be arches or singles like this one next to it here, this single one, those are curtains. They, again, all of these items work sort of differently. They don't all act the same, and that's really what sets them apart. So that's why I really wanted to go ahead and mention these items separately as we're discussing them. So again, curtains, these are really the um, only two types you'll find, whether it be an arch or a single like that. And again, there's some really cool stuff that you can do with curtains. Moving on over, we have chandeliers. So again, it's just any chandelier, right? And the way you just place them down, and you can start raising it. You put that in a house or whatever, right? Just a normal chandelier. Again, a lot of cool things we can do with chandeliers as well as we talk about that a bit further. And last but not least, we do have our carpets as well. So there's a couple of different carpets I have here. I have this teeny tiny one. I have this huge Everfrost carpet. I also have these little singles over here I was messing with in a prior teaching, kind of showing some lazy stairs as an example, but yeah, it's a carpet for sure. And yeah, those are the different types of furniture. Next thing that I want to discuss is really just going to be place mode, which is what we're in right now. There are a few things that I wanted to note about this, I think super important, um, just as far as not only like rule of thumb, but things to kind of be wary about as well. Make sure that you don't end up accidentally clicking something like that. But in order to get into place mode, again, you just walk into your manor, your house. There's going to be that big button there. It says place mode in the middle toward the top. Go ahead and go into place mode. Now, while we are here, something I want to just kind of start off by saying, because it seems so simple, but I've fallen a victim to it myself 3 times already. And I know a few people that have also had this happen to them. It can easily happen to anybody. It sucks when it does happen, so I just want to kind of really underline this, bold this, so that this does not happen to you, so that you don't have to suffer the way that we have before. There is a big button here that says retrieve all. If I click on this button, even if it's accidentally, right? Like if I just accidentally, oh, left click, It'll say, due to insufficient inventory space, you can only collect 58 out of 92 items. Do you want to go and do this? And then sometimes you're just clickety clacketing so fast, hitting space, enter, whatever it is that you're doing, that before you know it, you accidentally hit enter. And right before your eyes, whatever space you have in your inventory, regular inventory, pearl inventory, they are considered separate, it'll just start picking up until your inventory is full. So be very, very careful with that. What I noticed is that it likes to sort of grab things that you placed earlier on, although that's not always super consistent. So can't really bet on that. But yeah, it is awful. That can happen inside. It can happen outside. It's happened to me once outside and 2 times inside. So yeah, and it likes to pull out the most annoying things. Like let's just say you have a grand library and you have books set in very specific spots. It'll pull out little books here, little books there. It'll pull out just anything that it can, really, while you have space. Just the most annoying things. So I just wanted to call that out. The other thing, this isn't really place mode specific, but just, kind of branching off of that. When your contract runs out for your manor, whatever manor you might have, you want to make sure that you're careful when renewing that you're not accidentally returning everything back to your storage. The other thing is that when you're going into a manor, let's just say you're trying to visit a manor, and when you're hitting the different F keys up above, I think it's like F5, F6, sometimes a message will pop up that says return manor. Again, I think it's like F5, F6. And if you accidentally hit that and you're trying to visit somebody else, it'll ask you one last time, are you sure you want to do this? And again, sometimes you're going so fast that you just hit enter. If you do that, it will return everything that you have placed into storage. It will force it into your storage, even if you don't have space in your storage. Everything that you have placed, it will remove all wallpapers, any flooring, everything. It'll be like as if you're starting from the very beginning. So just very, very careful with that. Just make sure that you're not, clickety clacketing too fast to the point where you end up losing so much of your progress. So I just wanted to start that. The other thing being, now going back to place, what I should say is super, super helpful, but it is picky in the sense that it is case sensitive. So when you are looking for a certain item, whether it be a pearl item that you're trying to buy or an item that you already have in your inventory, I mean, it's possible that like on my lawn, right, she has an inventory full of all kinds of furniture. So sometimes it's just easier to filter it out. So if you have like 100 different items, you could say, well, I'm specifically looking for doll. Oops. Okay, sensitive, right? And it'll pull up anything doll related that I might have in my inventory, and it'll be highlighted like this if it's not in my inventory, but I can buy it. So these are different pearl options that I can buy. Now, the thing is, and again, case sensitive, right? These items are not just called doll, DOLL. They have names like Halloween No Longer Smiling Doll, Halloween Forever Sleeping Doll, Halloween Pumpkin Doll Lamp. But doll is a keyword in all three of these things. So as long as whatever the keyword is that I'm searching is properly, typed out, case sensitivity and all, if you filter that out, it'll find everything related to said keyword. So let's try it without case sensitivity, and it pulls nothing. So this is definitely important and something that we'll need to kind of note as we move forward for set methods. So just wanted to call that out as far as the case sensitivity is concerned. The next thing being is that, let me just go back to all items. When it's just like this, I have everything showing, I don't have anything filtered out. By default, it's going to have numbers on the first set of items, the first row, the first 8 items. And each number means that if I were to press that key on my keyboard, it will trigger whatever the item is. So like this scroll, if I hit 3, it wants to place a scroll down now, right? Because that's what I selected. Now, To be specific, when I'm hitting the number 3, this is not on your numlock keypad to the right, usually of your keyboard. This is going to be at the very top of the lettering itself. Super important because it won't work otherwise. So it has to be the numbering, that row of numbering, right, from 1 all the way to 0. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, at the end it's 0. That row specifically. So that is important to make sure that it works for you. So let's just say I wanted that little bottle. I could click on it and put it down, or I can just hit 2 and put it down, and that works too. As far as place mode is concerned, let's just say that you're trying to find an item that you've placed. Let's just say that for the life of me, I don't know where in the world I put this little bottle, right? Let me collect it real quick. It's the Emerald Gourd bottle, so we know what it's called. Let's just say that I had only one of this item. Let's pretend that it's super rare. I know it's not rare, but let's just pretend that it's super rare. And you can't remember for the life of you where you put it in your house. If it's a table item, you can quickly retrieve it by searching for it and then retrieving it. If it's a ground fix item, there's a chance that you might have other table items on it. So it might tell you, hey, if you want to retrieve me, you got to pick up all these other guys, right? So let's just say I want the bottle. I'm going to search just a keyword that I know is in the item itself. In this case, I'm going to search emerald. And it pulls up different items that have the keyword emerald in it. In this case, for me, my item is number 5. I want to retrieve it so I can, have that back in my inventory because, I realize that I want to place that somewhere else. And again, I forgot where I put that. I'm going to hit 5. Do you want to collect? Yes. And there it goes, collects it. Now, the issue there being is, let's just say I had 20 of these bottles, right? I'm not going to know which one it's collecting. So this really only works for a very specific item that you don't have a bunch of copies of. And that's pretty much it on place mode. Okay, so next I wanted to go ahead and talk about stacking order, what is preferable or what's going to make it easiest for you, and any potential errors that kind of come along the way with that, regardless if you're doing it in a particular order or if not. Again, there's going to be ways to um, go around these errors, so no need to fret on that. So as far as general placement, when it comes to placing anything normally or abnormally in this case with our methods, the best approach as you're fleshing things out, like let's just say it's a library, you have a bunch of these bookshelves and a bunch of little books. The bookshelves are ground fix items. The books are table items, right? Let's just say that behind the bookshelves, you wanted to line them with curtains, or if not curtains, paintings, to give it some kind of a backdrop, if you will. The best way that I would order that, and again, just to kind of break down the order, it would either be bookshelf or bookshelves, and then curtains, or paintings, either or. Wall items generally don't, or I should say curtains and other wall items, they will conflict with each other. So just something to note, there's still a way to place them on top of each other, but when you're normally trying to go about the stacking, you might notice a problem there. So again, starting with the bookcases, that's step 1. Step 2 would be the paintings or the curtains with the paintings. Step 3 would be filling my bookshelves with books or with little jars or little knickknacks. And that's how I would flesh out something like that. Now, let's just say that as you're building something, like let's just say this bookshelf here, right? I'm going to put a couple of different things on it, some different table items on it, and I guess also in one of the shelves. Okay, so if I try to pick up this bookshelf, it'll say you must first retrieve Emerald Gourd bottle. So, okay, it wants me to remove this. Now again, there's a best way to go about placing things in general, but there's going to come a time where you're going to need to pick something up, right? And it's going to be surrounded by other things. Heck, it could be something as simple as, like, actually, we'll do that here in a second. But let's just say that this is the case. I really need to move this bookshelf. I didn't want it here. I wanted it like 5 inches to the left, or whatever the case is, right? But I need to remove these items. So in order for me to move the bookshelf, I would have to remove these items. Now, with one of the methods that we'll be talking about here in a little while, there is a way to avoid having to remove anything. So you would have to temporarily move these little items out of the way. But rather than thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to remember exactly how I place this bottle and this one and that one? I really don't want to bother with all of that, all over again. I really like the way it looks. So if we just want to fix the problem, get to the shelf, but we want the other things as they are, or other surrounding table items, that's kind of key there. We would temporarily move these items, these three little items, out of the way, because these are all table items that are touching this. Now, again, if you didn't care too much about how it looked, you can just collect the items, right? Go from there. And I put it back. But that's really not what I would want to do in a stacking situation. I would much rather temporarily move it out of the way. But for this example, just for sake of explaining different errors that come about when you're trying to pick something up or move something, let's just normally take the bottle off, right? Because it told us it didn't like the bottle on it. Okay, let's try to move the shelf. And it says, okay, well, now you got to move the vase. Okay, well, there's two of them, so I don't know, maybe this one. Spoiler alert, it's both of them, right? Because it's anything touching the item. But again, click on it, says you still got to remove that vase, and it's because there's another vase on it. Now if I try to do it, it'll be blue. I can pick it up and I can move it, and it's free. But again, in most scenarios, I wouldn't want to just remove stuff like that temporarily, because usually there's a reason why I have other things near it. Like, let's just say, like, this is a good example. It should happen. Oh, no, it's not touching it. If it was clipped in, it would probably give the problem. But yeah, it's not really happening here. But there are some times where it doesn't even look like it's touching it. But because it's so close to the item, it's interfering with its hitbox. And because it's interfering with its hitbox, the item feels like it's touching it. And it will not be moved unless you move any of said table items that are touching the ground fix items. The same thing works for curtains. If you're trying to place a curtain on a wall, arches or singles, it will not want you to confirm or will not let you confirm the item unless you move any surrounding table items, whether that be just pick them up permanently or the method that we'll be talking about here in a little bit, where you would temporarily move it out of the way, walk in and out of your house, and it's going to reset, and those little things are going to be right back where they were as if you never touched them. Now, while we're talking about stacking order and errors, I do want to mention when it comes to the exterior, um, it is very picky when it comes to plants, because the plants, not all of them, but a good chunk of them, they do have some pretty awful hitboxes. And because they have such awful hitboxes, like let's just say that you place a little patch of grass, like the little bristle grass, next to a fountain. I mean, it can be maybe 2, 3 widths of your character away from the fountain, and it'll still say you need to remove the grass because it's touching me, even though it's not, right? But according to BDO hitboxes. So plants, it's usually best to place plants at the very end, including trees and things alike. So just really, really wanted to mention that so that again, it's easier as you continue to build everything up. Something else I did want to go ahead and note, two different things, actually completely separate on their own. But first, starting with Ultra mode in the game. So Ultra mode, get ready to see how absolutely awful and tanked my graphics are right now because I have it under ultra. But it's pretty awful. But yeah, ultra. This is what we're talking about here. So ultra mode, if you're like me and my Heidel manner kind of saw a little bit at the very beginning, it is, I mean, stacked to the brim. It has a lot of items. Like I don't know how many, but just a lot. Like thousands and thousands and thousands of items. A lot of little items, big items, you name it, just everything. So at a certain point when I was decorating, I noticed that because I have so many items, when I was in place mode, or not even in place mode, I could just be walking around the house, right? I noticed that my house was kind of loading in and out. Some items would disappear here and there. Some items weren't showing at all, especially in place mode. They were completely invisible. Um, and the floor was disappearing, just a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So for a couple of weeks, it kind of deterred me because I felt like I couldn't continue because I was having all these problems and I didn't really know how to get around it. Now, surely maybe there's, I could better my PC. I'm sure that's a part of it. But what I found to be an instant fix for my problem was the moment that I swapped into ultra mode, I no longer experience that issue. So if I'm inside of the house, outside, I'm not experiencing this blinking of items or disappearing floors or just other problems in general. Now, again, I am sacrificing my frames a bit, but I can see everything, and that's rather important to me that it's, not just disappearing. Like I would be in place mode and just imagine this entire table is hidden, this aquarium's hidden, like they're there, but just when I'm in place mode, they're gone. So if that's happening to you, or if you ever experience that, go ahead and give ultra mode a try, and it should work some wonders there. So the other thing that I want to go ahead and call out, this I've noticed, like I don't really have a decorated shimmy manner, so it's hard to speak on this here, but in the Heidel manner, when you first walk into your manor, right? You walk in. Now, if you turn around, face the doorway, just straight on, right? The doorway that you just walked through, that wall, when you're trying to decorate it, when you place things down, it will not let you pick it back up, or there will be a bit of a struggle. And the reason that it is happening like that is because you have a decorated courtyard. And what the game is doing is as you walked through your courtyard, you walked into the house, it loaded the exterior first. You walked into the house, it now loaded the interior. And as it has everything loaded, when you're facing that wall and you're trying to pick something off of that wall that you put down earlier, maybe you put a painting down or you put a shelf or whatever, right? All of a sudden you can't even select the item. It's like your mouse won't even focus on it. And it's happening because all of the other plants or fountains or you name it, just other items that you have outside, it's pulling the focus of your cursor to that item. So it's as if you can't even select the item that you're trying to select. So if you encounter that problem, a super, super easy fix, what I like to call just sort of kind of resetting the canvas, blank canvas. Leave the character that you're using to decorate inside of the manor, right? Then swap to an alt, any alt. Then swap back to the character that you were just on. Now that same painting that you were trying to remove that you were unable to, try removing it again. This time it'll let you. The reason that's happening is because when you swapped back and forth, you're now back on your character, right? It now is only loading the interior. Now, if you step outside, you'll notice that either the exterior is completely gone, completely wiped, it looks like there's nothing there, or a few things will be loaded. In my case, usually it's a few things are loaded, but again, sometimes it's blank. Now, where that comes into play is when stacking fails us for the exterior, right? Let's just say you just have so many flowers and you're thinking, I'm not going to pick up all these flowers so that I can put a lamp down. Unfortunately, the stacking isn't as kind to the exterior as it is inside, but there are still ways around it. So let's just say in that scenario, I wanted to put a lamp in a field of flowers that I already had, and no, I am not picking up each of those flowers. The easiest way to do that is just reset your canvas. So have a character inside, swap back and forth, right? Swap back to your main character or the character that you're using. The moment that you step outside, it'll be as if nothing's there. And let's just do that super quick. Now again, this, don't mind the holy bright. It's having issues, I think, loading stuff up right now. So there's usually more. But there's a couple of things that I have out here. Like there's a turf. I don't know why it looks funky like that right now. Let's actually just walk in and out because I think my game's getting a little angry. The frame rate. But okay, here we go. That's better. But this is what it normally looks like when I walk in and out, like when I'm just loading things normally, right? I'm not doing any kind of special tricks. But if I go inside the manor and then swap, let's just say I swapped my lawn, right? It doesn't have to be her, it could be anybody. The key thing being that I'm inside the manor, right? Because I want to reset the outside so that I can place a lamp in that spot and the game thinks there's nothing there. There is not a field of flowers right here, right now, but that's only because you reset the canvas. The moment that you walk out of your manor and back in, the lamp will be there, granted that you confirmed it, and your field of flowers will still be there. Something to note is that if you try to pick up the lamp, it's not going to let you unless you pick up each and one of the, or each and every single one of those flowers. It won't let you. So just be careful. Make sure that when you're using what I like to call second set of eyes, that's that method, that you have it in a place that you're sure that you're fond of. Um, and I say second set of eyes because when you're doing that method, let's just say you're trying to be super precise in how you're placing it, it is usually best either to have a second monitor or second computer, better yet, so you can have another account um, so that you can stream it to yourself or have that going. I shouldn't say stream it, just have that going. But if it's a friend, they can stream it to you and they can help you that way. And they can show you exactly what they're seeing when they walk in and out of the manor so that you don't have to walk out and then now the lamp is just stuck there so that you can keep moving it around while it's in that blank state. So before I swap back, even as an example, notice how on my lawn, if I walk outside right now, because I swapped to her and she was inside of the manor, my exterior has way more than this, but this is all it loads. It only, and this is usually what happens, it'll only load these few things over and over and over again. Now again, I actually have this all fleshed out, and if I walk from the outside in, you'll see there's a big difference. There's a lot going on here, but it's like this. It's missing a whole bunch of stuff because we reset the canvas. So then I'll just go back inside. All right. But yeah, let's go ahead and swap back, and then we'll just step outside and then see what that looks like. And then you'll see what I mean as far as it reset the canvas outside. All right, so just loaded in. Let's go ahead and step outside, right? Now, what happened here is it removed a lot of things. It removed everything. It removed the turf that this was on. It removed all those big floating items I had up there. Didn't remove these little plants and this here, but for the most part, if you could imagine in a fully decorated manner, and these are the only items you're left with, that's a big deal. Because now you have all this quote unquote space to work with, but again, technically it's preoccupied by other stuff if it's fully decorated. But you can break the rules of hitboxes because there will no longer be hitboxes. And that's that. Next order of business, just wanted to go back to the place mode here. I wanted to talk about something called a control item. So control item is something that we're going to need for our main stacking method. The control item, it could be something big, preferably for me, something smaller, preferably a table item because it can go just about anywhere. But again, to each their own. Some people like to use the manor ring gauge. Some people like to use a doll. Some people like to use a carpet, right? It could be anything. I personally like to use this teeny tiny coral comb rack, which is a, spoiler alert, table item. So because it's so small and it's a table item, I can put it down anywhere and easy peasy. Not only that, but this particular item, there aren't a bunch of items that have those specific keywords, so it's very unique on its own. And the reason that I like that is because when I filter my control item via the search bar and I'm looking for this item specifically, it's not going to pull up like 4 or 5 different items. It will only pull up this one item. There is not some kind of a variation of it sold here via the Pearl items for sale. So it's only going to pull up this one item. And again, the coral comb rack, it's just to show you guys really quickly, it's just something that I crafted over here, Ilia Island, in this particular building 1-1, and it's this item here. So yeah, super easy to make. Now again, some people might already be using that item. Maybe they have a bathroom or something else. I don't have anything like that, so for me, I don't really intend to use that little item, and if not, maybe at the very end, if anything, but that's going to be my control item. So just anything that works for you. So when we are in place mode, when we're focusing on the control item, when we're um, kind of taking it into consideration when doing said methods, all we want to do is just filter it out here in the search bar. And again, it doesn't have to be the full name, just a keyword from it, case sensitive. So I'm just going to search comb, and it found my coral comb rack, and it's highlighted yellow because I have it placed down. If I wanted to retrieve it, I could either click on it or I could hit the number 1 above the lettering on my keyboard. I'll say, do you want to collect it? I'll say yes, or hit enter on my keyboard. I then have it there in my inventory. Same thing if I want to place it down, I'm going to hit the number 1 on my keyboard again from or above the lettering. Just place it down, clicked, or LMB space, and there it is. So really nice shortcut when using the hotkey 1. And again, really easy to filter it out. And when we're just, searching for a keyword that's going to be specific to that item. So whenever I am stacking, just placing furniture in general, once I have my items ready that I'm going to be working with, I just like to get it filtered out, have it ready. Some people like to copy and paste this word maybe onto like a little document or a sticky note, and they can just continue to copy, paste it here when they need to, start searching for their item again. I've done that before, but most of the time I'll just end up typing it, right? But either way. So that would be the control item there. And again, just to make sure that you have that for the main method. Now, the control item is important for the interior and for the exterior as well. The coral comb rack I cannot place outside, so when I am doing things outside, usually I like to use this Florchestra stand because it's not a table item. I could use a table item, but I don't mind this because it's kind of skinny, smaller item. It's not too big, doesn't take up a lot of space, but again, just any exterior item, it would be the same concept when using it as a control item. Now on to the next subject here. I want to go ahead and start first actually with the supplemental stacking method. It is a carpet method, as I like to call it. Supplemental, why? Because it can be useful. Although I really don't use it like ever. But again, to each their own. Maybe find some usage for that. So what we're going to go ahead and do, just going to have the items that we're working with. So I'm going to use this carpet here. This is an Everfrost. Go show you what it is. It's the Everfrost high quality carpet that you can buy on the market. Just going to place that here in the corner somewhere that I'll remember as far as the spot wise of the building itself. Now I'm going to remove this because that's not, normally you can't do that. These pillows do not let you stack themselves on top of each other. But let's just say that I want to go ahead and put this pillow on top of this other pillow here. I want them on top of each other, but it's not letting me. It's red, right, because of hitboxes. So all we're going to do is have the item. Now, we don't have to do this on the carpet, let me mention. Let me actually just move this off of it, just to show you. So we're just going to go ahead and hold the item that we want, the item that we're going to want stacked on top of the other item that's already placed. Now just have it somewhere normally placed, pick it up, get it ready, position it, hold R and B. I'm holding R and B. I'm only moving my mouse around just to show you various angles, I guess, but I'm holding R and B all the while. While still holding R and B, go out of view of the building, what I like to call into the abyss, kind of turn around. I'm still holding R and B, right, this entire time. And you want to not really be looking through any windows or ideally, right, just try to be outside of the house completely. You're only looking on the outside. Once you're here, as we remember that there's a carpet right here in this corner, right, of this building that's right there. Once you're there, you can let go of R&B and then click somewhere where that carpet is. And then it should allow you, it'll be blue. You don't have to go look at it, but it'll say you can install a space. Just hit space. And there it is, stacked on top of it. That is the carpet method. So really we're tricking it when we go to the outside. It thinks that we can place it because normally we can place a cushion freely on a carpet and it's not going to have any collisions, any conflicts, problems. But in this case, when we did that, it stayed here because again, it thought we were placing it here, but it stayed where we held our cursor before we went out of view of the building. And just something worth mentioning is that that supplemental method, that stacking method, is only applicable for interiors. Now moving on to the hot topic of the video here, which is going to be the main stacking method and just really what that's all about, how to do that. First things first, this is going to need a control item. So that control item we talked about a little while ago, just make sure that you have one already in mind. Make sure that you already have it in your inventory. If not, you can just have that already placed somewhere on the ground. Kind of like I have mine in this case. I have the comb right here. It's already on the ground. So we're going to need the control item. The other thing being is that any items you're going to be stacking or aka clipping, make sure that they are already placed in your residence or in your manor so that you're ready to go with those. Now, as we get started here, as far as the stacking is concerned, there are two different ways to go about this method as far as the fine turning or just kind of wide turns, if you will, or wider turns. You can turn on the 45-degree angle, and if you do that, rather than an item turning like this slowly, when you tap on the brackets on your keyboard, again, brackets being next to the letter P usually, rather than this, if you hit the 45 and if you tap on those same brackets, oops, picked up the wrong item. it'll be perfect angles. Whereas if you want it to be finer, turn off the 45. And again, you can be a little bit more precise, still tapping the brackets and tapping the right one. Now let's just say that's still a little bit too much. If you want it even finer, hold Shift and tap on those same brackets and it'll slowly turn it. Okay, so just wanted to mention the brackets and 45-degree angle and or with and without 45-degree angle and the difference there. Alrighty, so we're going to be doing a couple of different, or covering, various examples of stacking and just kind of what that looks like, just practicing a little bit here. So let's just say that I wanted, take this table over here. Let's just say that I wanted this tank here in the middle of this table. And I actually have something similar back at my other matter, not this exact table, but another table. But let's just say that you wanted to clip these in together and then maybe surround this table with books, make, something cute there. It's red, so it's not going to let me, right? Because, hitboxes, of course, right? However, if I want to get around this hitbox, easy way to do that is going to be via this method here. So let me just put it down again. Again, just make sure the items that you're working with are already placed down. Let me actually just move this cushion midair because that might be a little distracting. That doesn't normally happen, but that's just one of the methods from a previous video. So first things first, filter out your control item. Oh, I was stuck control. So in this case, it's comb, right, for me, just a keyword from it. Place it down somewhere on the floor, anywhere. I already have mine placed down. It's highlighted yellow, so it's good to go. Next thing that you want to do is pick up the item that you're going to be clipping. Let's just say that this table, I want it exactly here. And I need to fix this tank to the table, right? So I'm going to pick up this tank. I'm going to hold it in the position or hover it. You just kind of move your cursor about until you get it exactly in the spot where you'd like it. I'm not holding any button down. All I'm doing is just moving my cursor. And let's just say I want it right here, right? All you're going to do is hold RMB, which is right mouse button, holding RMB. While holding RMB, we're going to hit the number 1 hotkey for our control item. For you, it could be a different number, right? Holding RMB, while holding it, I tap 1. Still holding RMB, it says, do you want to collect coral comb rack? I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard, still holding RMB. I can now let go of RMB. And now the item is in it. They are layered on top of each other. The problem is that if I leave the house right now, or if I swap characters, this tank will go back to where I had it just a little while ago. In order to prevent that from happening, go ahead and put your control item down one more time, just anywhere, doesn't matter where. Then if you click on the tank, it'll be highlighted blue, meaning you can confirm it, and you can do that by hitting space. And now they're there, and they're stuck together. Now, here's what I mean by, let's just say that we skipped that last step with a control item, right? Let's just pretend that we didn't put that down, we didn't confirm the blue placement. All right, so let's start from the beginning again. We filtered out, or let's just go here, right? Filter out your control item. Make sure the item that you're working with or items that you're working with are already placed down somewhere, anywhere, it doesn't matter where. Pick up the item that you're clipping, hover it over just right with your cursor, hold down RMB, tap the number 1 while hitting RMB. In this case for me it's number 1 because that is my hotkey via the search for the control item. Still holding RMB, tapped the number 1. Now it says, do you want to collect the coral comb rack? I'm still holding RMB. I now tap enter while holding RMB. It has now lifted the control item. So remember that step we did just a little bit ago? We put the control item back down and then we clicked on this. It was blue. It was good to go. If you don't do this step, this is what happens. It'll be red. And if you try to confirm it, it wants to now move it away. And I'm thinking, shoot, but I wanted it there. So just hit escape. It's okay. No big deal. It happens to me all the time. I forget. Just hit escape. It'll go back to where you just had it a second ago clipped. Go ahead and put the control item down and then confirm it. Now, some people like to say, and this is just a word they mention, that you can click on any other item that's nearby that's normally placed. So I could have clicked on this chair or this cushion because they are normally placed. There's no special tricks going on here. I find it easier just to place the control item down because I'm going to have to place it down again anyways because I'm just going to keep stacking stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So if I were to leave and come back, it will still be there, I promise you. So let's go ahead and give that a whirl. Whereas if we would have skipped that last step, making it blue, it would not be there. It would revert back. So just remember that. But the reason it's going to be here now is because we made sure it was blue when we confirmed it. Because we placed down our control item again. Just clicked on an item that was blue, really. And there it is. All right, so let's go ahead and stack table items. So just same concept. I'm just doing this with a couple of different items. I'm gonna filter out my control item. I'm gonna take, because again, table items can just keep stacking on top of each other, right? So let's go ahead and build a coffee maker cushion sandwich thing here. So let's do coffee maker, cushion, coffee maker, cushion. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up a cushion. I already have it placed somewhere, so just pick it up. I'm gonna hover it where I want it. It's on top. Cool. Holding R and B. Gonna hit the number 1 for my hotkey. Hit enter. I can let go of R and B. I'm gonna press the control item or the number for the control item to put it back down. Gonna go ahead and confirm the cushion. And then next one. Now I want this on top. Hold R and B. Tap the number 1 for your hotkey or whatever your hotkey number is. Still holding R and B. Hit enter while holding all of this. Put the control item back down. Confirm your item. Don't forget. Ooh, for some reason it went back down. Let me just confirm this, pick this up again. Sometimes that'll happen. It's a weird little funky. There we go. No harm, no foul. And then next one. Pick up this cushion, hover it over, hold R and B, tap your hotkey number. For me it's 1. I'm still holding R and B while doing this. Tap it once, says do you want to retrieve it? Hit enter while holding R and B. Put the control item down again. Or let's pretend we forgot to do that. You can also just click any other item that's normally nearby and you can confirm it, it'll be blue. And then if we go in and out of the house, these items will all still be there. So let's just do that one or another go real quick. All right, and it's still there. My little coffee maker cushion sandwich. All right, so let's try stacking something else. Here's another example. I always like to call this one out because it's something that I think people forget about sometimes. You think it's just so fixed to the wall, but there's actually some movement that these wall items got. They're going to be really low to the floor naturally, but still some pretty cool things I think you can do. So let's just filter out our control item again, and let's try one of these wall items. Let's just say I have this tank, let me say this tank, right? And I have it placed like this. kind of at an angle, right? So it's not perfectly parallel with that wall, that's for sure. So I have it at this angle. I go and confirm it, just leave it there. It's normal, nothing crazy going on. I'm going to take this shelf, and again, these wall items, they're going to naturally sit very low when you pull them out toward the floor, right? They sit very low. There is a way to potentially raise these items. It is another method I think a lot of people have been waiting for. It's going to be another video. But just for stacking basics, this is kind of what we expect to see, right? With these wall items. Kind of cuts it, I think, like halfway, or I don't know, whatever the hitbox is, I suppose. So I'm a huge fan of these wall shelves and doing the following trick with them. And all I did was just pick up the item, and I'm just moving it around with my cursor, pulling it onto the floor. If you start tapping your brackets, you'll notice that it turns. So like in my manor, I did this with not this exactly, but very similar. There's a whole build to it that I did, but like a trim that I have at the very bottom of that little library bar tank area, I lined it with these Amore shelves. And again, you can keep turning them. So I went all the way around with these. And I did the same thing with these hanging flower racks as well. So really like this because it kind of just looks like it cuts off really all of the basket and it just leaves this kind of floral, greeny look. But yeah, so then let's just say I want it like that, right? So I'm gonna, maybe it's not perfect, right? So don't worry about that. This isn't my actual manor, right? So no worries. Let's just say I want it right there. Okay, cool. I already had it placed somewhere normally on the wall, so I just picked it up off the wall, anywhere, right? I'm gonna hold R&B, I want it right here. I already have my control item filtered out. Hit the number 1 hotkey for it while holding R&B. Hit or tap enter while holding R&B. Let go of everything. No hands on the keyboard or the mouse. Put your control item back down by either clicking it or just, I like the hotkey, so just number 1. Confirm that. Click on the wall item that we were just placing. It'll be blue. Confirm it. And now they will stay there together. Like such. And again, some really, really cool things that you can definitely do with the wall items as far as bringing them out toward the floor. You can get really creative, I think. I just briefly wanted to talk about wall stacking. It's the same method. It's just something that needs to be noted because it just has to be said, right? Just to make sure that we're able to do it and clip things higher up into the wall, make life easier. So let's just say that you want a bookshelf in the wall. Like you want tall, grand library bookshelves. So what you're going to do is filter out your control item. I'm going to take this bookshelf here. Now, if I try to just move my cursor up, it's just not going to go up, right? So in order to help it out, because I'm doing this on a wall and I want it to be parallel with the wall, I find turning on 45 is going to be easiest, fastest. You don't have to do it with a 45. That's my preference, so I'm going to do it with a 45. Turn on the 45. And as you are moving your cursor up the wall in this direction, start tapping on those brackets. Can go left, right, doesn't really matter. Just start tapping on them. Just go the same direction, like I'm just tapping the right one, tapping the right one, tapping the right one, and just go with your cursor. Once you found a spot that you like for it, again, same thing, just hold it, or hover your mouse where you want it, hold R&B, pick up your control item, pressing the number 1, because that's my hotkey in this case, still holding R&B, tapping enter while holding R&B, my hands are free, not holding anything, put the control item back down, and go ahead and confirm your bookshelf. Now, something I do want to note is that whatever item you're clipping into the wall, half of the wall is eating half of the item. Not really, right? But what I mean by that is it's hiding half of the item. So There is a way to pull this out, and again, that's that method that I keep talking about, are methods that everybody's been waiting for, but just basics, stacking as we know it, this is what happens. Um, I still think it looks great. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You can easily fit books on this, because I have a whole library or section of my house with a bunch of these bookshelves. Now, some people, just to know, they like to line the back of them with, like I did curtains, or you could do paintings, whatever, right? Whatever the weather, you could do partitions. Like you could raise, let me show you real quick, right? Y'all think I'm crazy. These golden partitions, I'm a huge fan of these guys. Let's just say you just want like a fancy golden trim behind it. You could even clip something like that. So let's filter our control item. Again, we want to stack it into the wall. So we're going to pick it up. I have my 45 turned on preference. It's easier so that it's straight 45-degree angles. And start tapping on my brackets, and it goes up. It's kind of hard to tell with this wallpaper because it already has some gold going on, but let's go ahead and confirm it. Now imagine you have a whole row, a whole row, there you go, of bookcases. You're going to need probably quite a few of these, but just an example, you can get super creative. Place the control item back down, confirm this guy, and voila. That is wall stacking. Now let's see another example here. All right, so another example, let's just take our tank. This is a super popular one. I know I'm a huge fan for sure. Let me just put this item, I mean, I could straighten it out on my own, just try to, my eyes as best as I can be precise, but let me just put this down, collect it so that it's straight again. Here we go. Let's just say I want it clipped into this wall. I want like this wall aquarium thing, maybe build some cool stuff around it. Let's go ahead and filter out our control item. Let's pick up the item that we're going to be clipping and start tapping the brackets. Again, I have 45 on for preference for parallel to the wall. Now it didn't let me place it there because this is like a window of some kind, an unfurnishable area. So don't worry about that, but it does let us go higher here. So I want it right there. Now something I want to note really quickly, this is specific to these tanks. They will always swim in one direction, these fish. So if you start layering the tanks on top of each other, or maybe you turn a couple backward, put them side by side, it starts to look a lot more natural as opposed to the same one after the same one after the same one facing the exact same direction. So just wanted to call that out as far as having a wall of tanks. But let's go ahead and pretend we want this here. I'm holding R and B. I'm going to tap the number 1 to pick up my control item. Says, do you want to? Yes, I'm tapping enter. Putting the control item back down, confirming my tank. And there it is. Now something else that I do want to mention about wall stacking here briefly is that when you have an item stacked into the wall, let me actually take another shelf here as an example. Check this out. I find this to be useful sometimes. It could be a little annoying at times, but other times it's exactly what I need. Actually, let me put this higher so that it's doing, or I can show what I want to show. Okay, so let's just pretend that the top of that shelf, this little shelf I'm placing right now, that I wanted that to be flush with the top of the Amore shelf. And after all this time of, wiggling it around the wall, I finally got it just right, but it's a little bit too high. There is a trick sometimes to help even it out. Maybe if it's just, it doesn't have to be that high, it could be a little lower, it could be any height really. It's just better if it's a little closer in height. But anyways, we'll leave it like that. So let's just pretend that we already confirmed it. And then I'm looking and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, these are not flush. So then if I click on the item, either item, but typically the one that you want to move down is the one you're going to be clicking on. You want it to be lowered a little bit, but you don't want to do or bother with all that fuss again. If you click on the item, usually if it's blue, this will work, and you just click on move, but don't actually start to move your cursor, just keep your cursor there. You're not holding anything, you're not pressing anything. If you left click on move, you'll notice it starts to slide. Catch it with RMB. I've caught it with RMB. I'm holding it with RMB. Press 1 to remove your control item. Put it back down. I can now confirm this and it'll be, again, pretending that this is super perfect, but let's pretend that it was, and there you go. That's a cool trick there. So sometimes it'll go up, sometimes it'll go down, sometimes it goes down at an angle or up at an angle, sometimes it just goes straight up or straight down. It's usually at a downward angle, but it can also go up. So I've used it for both. I use this all the time, and I just wanted to mention that for wall stacking. The next order of business is going to be what I like to refer to as ghost stacking, or if not, temporary removal, potato. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is, let's just say that you wanted a floating set of books for whatever reason, right? Just, roughly in this area here, you want it to be at a pretty tall height, pretty much the height of this bookshelf, right? So I'm going to use this bookshelf for the height. I'm not going to actually want to keep it there, but I do want the books to stay floating midair. So from the methods that the method I should say we were just talking about, stacking in general, this main stacking method, we're just going to pick up our bookshelf, and I want it in this spot, but I don't actually want it to stay here. So I'm going to use the method. It's blue, but we're not going to confirm it normally. Hold it where you're going to want your floating books to be. We're not actually confirming it. Hold R and B, press the number 1 to pick up your control item or whatever your number is. Place that back down. Do not confirm the bookshelf because we want it to revert back to its original spot. We don't want it to stay here. Pick up the books that we're going to be placing down. You can either normally place it because it's blue in this case, or you can use the method. I think I'll just normally place it, just make it easier this time. Now if I leave and come back, that bookcase will be gone. So let's do that real quick. Just in and out. And the bookcase is gone, but the books stayed floating. Ta-da! So where ghost stacking also is very helpful, or aka temporary removal, let's lean into the temporary removal. Why would we call it that? Let's just say that, again, just as an example here, right? Let's go ahead and put some, some little trinkets on this table. So we got some trinkets. And let's just say I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I wanted this table a little bit higher up, a little bit more to the right. I didn't want it exactly here. But these table items, it took me so long to place them here, I don't want to bother with that again. So we're going to filter out our control item. We're going to focus on any table items that are touching the big item that we're moving, and temporarily move it out of the way. So like we just did with the bookcase, pick up the bottle, hold it somewhere here, anywhere. It can be somewhere where it's red, somewhere where it's blue. Some people feel safer doing it on something that's red. I get it, but it doesn't have to be. It can be blue too. Just don't actually confirm it. Hold RMB. 1 to pick up the control item, enter, control item back down. Don't confirm it. Rinse and repeat. And again, this is the message right, it won't let me, but once I pick up that last item, and then I can just move this. So right now it's outside of the carpet. I don't want that. I want it in, like right here. Confirm that. So remember, it was outside. This little leg was outside the carpet. Now it'll be in, and the table items will still be where they were at when we come back. So let's go in and out. And there they are. I get just an example, and the table is where I wanted it to be. Alrighty, now last but not least when it comes to ghost stacking, just talking about table items here for a second. We'll notice that sometimes when just do this on the table. Let's just say that you want to put a table item inside of another table item, or you want them directly on top of each other, as opposed to just keep going higher and higher and higher. Naturally, the table item wants to go higher. It wants to keep stacking higher. So if you try to put it exactly in the middle, you'll notice that it's off, or that it's kind of not clipping exactly the way that you would like it to. You want it to be completely flush at the base, and it's just not working, right? So in order to do that, actually let me use, because if you're using a table, you can, more or less, actually I'll do it on the table because it's harder. But I like to use these little grids, like just for example's sake. But yeah, we'll just do it on the table because it's a little more challenging. Let's filter out our control item. Now we're going to need to temporarily move this little octo lamp out of the way, and then we're going to put this green guy right where he sits. So when I do stuff like that, I actually like to use like maybe like my thumb like as a marker. I'll hold it up to the item like right at the bottom center of it so that I know exactly what the bottom center was, like where I had it placed, right? Like the actual location. Whatever works best for you, but let me go ahead and do that now. Hold my thumb up to that. Gonna pick it up, temporarily put it out of the way, RMB, and oh, I'm gonna need to press 1, so actually let me forget about the thumb. You can actually see little indentations in the wood. I'm gonna try to use that. Again, you might think I'm crazy, but it works, usually. I'm gonna go ahead and pick this up, put it out of the way, temporarily do that. Just like roughly here. Hopefully that's right. But again, this is where trial and error comes into play. You might have to do it a couple of times. It happens to me all the time. Or if you have a second monitor, that works too. Or second computer, I should say. So now let me come in and out, and they will be perfectly, or I say perfectly, but they should be layered on top of each other from the bottom, as if they are at the same level, instead of going higher and higher. And there it is. Almost, no, not perfect, but you get the idea. That's where I'd say, okay, well, I need to move this bottle a little bit at an upward angle, just a smidge this way, right? But yeah, those are pretty much the noteworthy or important things to say about ghost stacking. All right, so next, just wanted to quickly mention these guys. The carpets, rugs, potato, potato. You can make a sort of staircase out of them. When you pick up a rug and you put it into the wall, is really, you can just keep going higher and higher and higher and higher. So that's definitely something that you can do. You can also layer carpets on top of other carpets. A lot of cool stuff there. And I think a very worthy mention, something that I'm a huge fan of. Let me get this table out. I like to use like these circular rugs as like a tablecloth. Like let's just say I have this table clipped up into this wall. I'm using it as a shelf, and I want that shelf to have like a, I don't know, a tablecloth of some kind. Let's just say that you forgot to filter out your control item like I did in this case. You can go out into the abyss and then filter it here now. And there it is. Oops. Go ahead and confirm that. And then if we just pick up the carpet, you can just move it exactly where you want it. There you go. And there you go. You have a little lined table. Looks like you have like a cloth on it. Looks super cute. Something else I do want to say about carpets is, let's just say, let me put it right here, if it'll let me. Like right there. Let me actually clip it further into the wall, just to make an example. So don't mind me here, but... All right. Let's just say you have a carpet close to a wall, and you're trying to stack something into said wall. Sometimes you'll notice that things will slide like that. You see where it was sliding for just a second? And if you're trying to place something down and it keeps sliding like that and you're getting annoyed, the reason it's sliding is because you have a carpet right there. So if the carpet's important, that's fine, but just move it out of the way temporarily. And then you can proceed as normal. And it won't be sliding all over the place like it's ice. So next order of business is going to be curtains. Let me just move this. Actually, we can leave the shelf there. So let's just say that you wanted something like this here, because this is definitely abnormal. This is not something that you can typically do. But let's just say that you wanted a wall of, a curtain. Maybe it's the same color, so it blends a little bit better than what we're seeing here. But let's just say that you wanted to do something like this here. So let me just go ahead and take these apart real quick, just place them normally. I'll actually show you. If I try to place this on it, it won't let me. It'll be red because it's saying you can't place a curtain on top of another curtain, which is true. It's not going to allow me to do that, right? But we can find a loophole. So let's just say that you wanted something like that. Take your first curtain and then just, whatever length you want it to be. Cool. We confirmed it normally. Now move it out of the way, just temporarily, right? So just as we know, holding my mouse here, not actually confirming it, holding R&B, pressing the one for my hotkey, picking it up, putting the control item back down, not confirming this. Now I'm going to go ahead and place this for that lower half. And when I come in and out, they will be on top of each other, the curtains, so they'll be layered. There's several walls that I did like that in my manner, especially in the bar area. And there you go. Almost perfect. Not quite, but something I do want to note when it comes to these arch guys, these arch curtains, they don't really care too much about these singles, so you can just, right, it doesn't really have any conflict, but they don't like other arches. So kind of like singles don't like other singles, arches don't like other arches, but singles and arches get along just fine. See, this one actually worked. Let's try it a little closer. I think that one has kind of a funny, there we go, yeah. There's going to be a point. It usually doesn't allow you to put it that close, but there's typically a point where it's just not going to let you. It does not want to be close to its same kind. All right, so let's just say, and this brings us to our next point. Let's just say that I wanted to layer this curtain on top of this curtain. Looks weird, but there are some curtains that when you layer them like this, they look rather lovely. It just depends on the combination. But let's just say I want to do that, right? So let me go ahead and filter out my control item. Oops. Okay. Pick up the curtain you're going to be layering, the arch curtain in this case. and then hover it where you want it. Hold R&B, pick up your control item, hit enter, yes, put the control item back down. Now notice what happens. As soon as we put the control item down, it looks like it disappeared. It did not disappear, it's hiding. You see the little bar is still there. You can barely see it. And as long as you're able to click on that bar and confirm it, it will stay. So like if you, this is better angle. Now if it's very difficult and you're struggling between clicking on the right thing, if you accidentally click on this and you're just going so fast and you hit space, it seems like nothing happened. But when you come back inside, it'll be a single. And we'll see that here in a second. But let's just pretend I didn't do that. Let's click on the bar. And once you click on that little skinny bar, which is just like the very middle part of the rod itself, hit space, and it brings the curtain back. But yeah, let's go ahead and see what happened to that one we accidentally clicked on. See how it comes back into a single. And oh, it went into a single. But again, you can always do the quick fix by just kind of repeating the same steps that we did earlier. You can move this one temporarily out of the way and then just fix that top one. But you'll see here how everything stays. A couple other things I did want to mention. Unlike that little bar thing happening, when you're just layering singles on top of singles, it's going to filter out control item. It won't disappear like that. So if you're just holding R&B like this, right? Removing your control item, putting it back down, you can confirm it. It won't disappear like that. It's only the arches that have the actual curtain disappear, but that middle rod is still there, so you just got to click that, and then it'll bring everything back to the front. So another worthy mention, these curtains, you can alter the length. A lot of folks don't know that, but if you just place this down normally, or perhaps another method that we'll talk about later, some exciting stuff, not in this video, but a separate video pertaining to the new methods. But if you just want to go ahead and, you know, raise the curtain so that it's not as long, just click it or place it down, better yet. If you want to lower or raise the height, you can just move the scroll wheel of your mouse. If the height's fine, hold control to alter the length. So holding control and spinning the cursor on your mouse wheel, again, you can alter the length to make it shorter. The height, that is the longest that it can be the way that it comes default, but you can lower it, or I should say shorten the curtain significantly. And again, you can also make this longer. Just make sure that there's not other things interfering with it. It's getting angry here because we have a single, so singles don't like singles. And that's that. And again, same thing works for these arches. So, oops, did it all too fast. Let me go ahead and click it, and then control holding or control scrolling the wheel to short the curtain. And there you have it. So in an upcoming video for the new methods, I will show you, or we'll talk about curtains a little bit again, kind of revisit the length stuff just one more time, but it's going to be all about curtains midair. I'm talking about floating curtains midair, like just hanging. Like when my video first started, it showed my second floor with some singing. I'm talking. Words are hard. So when I first started the video, it showed my the entrance to my grand library, right? And I have that second store or the second floor story or whatever. Or from the second floor, it's got some hanging curtains down the middle, and I accomplished that using that method. So again, it's going to be something completely new from this. There is going to be a way to essentially pick them or remove them from the wall so that they can be floating in the middle of the house or maybe tied to a bookcase or toward the front of it. It is one of my favorite things that I've learned recently, so very, very excited to tell you guys about that here very, very soon in that next video. I should be releasing that here within the next few hours. Getting toward the end here of things, almost there. We got chandeliers coming on up. So chandeliers, there would be really two different ways to stack them, as I'd put it, either with the wall or without the wall. I think most popular being without the wall for obvious reasons because we want to be able to enjoy the full chandelier, right? Not have it cut off constantly and still be able to put it wherever we want. But again, two very cool things that we can do. So let's start with the basic one here, the easy peasy. I mean, they're both easy peasy, right? But let's just say that we want it into a wall. Think of like carpets and the wall items. It kind of behaves the same. If you pick up the chandelier and just start moving your cursor against the wall or along the wall, go higher, lower, you'll see that it's doing the halfway thing where half of the house is eating it and the other half is sticking out. You can turn it if you want. Again, turn on 45, turn off, it's up to you. Let's just say I want it like this. So I'm going to hold R and B, press the number 1 for my hotkey for the control item, hit enter, put the control item back down, confirm my chandelier, and there it is. That's it. That's all it is for wall stacking. Chandeliers don't care about other chandeliers when it comes to the wall, so if you wanted to put another chandelier on top of that, that's the same thing. So it's just the same method, like this, right? Hold R and B where I want it, press the number 1 for hotkey, put it back down, confirm the new chandelier, and there you have it. 2 overlapped wall chandeliers. All right, so next thing being, let's just say, go ahead and use this area here as a good example. Okay, oops. Put this over here somewhere. There we go. All right, so these, whatchamacallit, these traditional long pillows or table items. This is a ground item. When placing a chandelier, it can only go, in other words, whatever the height is of the item, right? It cannot interfere with the hitbox. So like a flounder stage, it doesn't seem like it's going to have a really tall hitbox, but because that backdrop is really tall, the hitbox is, I mean, it's way up there when it comes to the height. Whereas this bookshelf, it's only going to be this high. These traditional long pillows, it's only going to be this high. So if you're trying to place a chandelier somewhere, anywhere, this is going to be your best friend, this method, because you don't have to worry about anything that's already placed, how big the item is, or if it's a table item, or fill in the blank, right? Whatever the issue is it really, really, really doesn't like table items, but it doesn't matter what the item is. If the hitbox is, this method is going to work always and regardless of the fact. So let's just say we're going to use this area as an example. Now, we got table items, we got this ground fix item, so there's a lot going on over here. Got a lot of hitboxes. Chandeliers usually aren't too fond of that, but we'll work with it regardless. So this is just raising chandeliers in any built areas that you already have. So if I'm picking up the chandelier, again, just have it somewhere placed normally, anywhere in the house, where? Doesn't matter, just normal. Pick up the chandelier that you're going to be using. And let's just say I want it right here. So I'm going to hold R and B. Now this is really low to the ground. I don't want it that low. I want it above these items, but we'll get to that in a second. So position it where you want it. We'll worry about the height right now in a second. So holding it with R and B, it's right mouse button again, Same method that we used before with other stacking. We're just holding R&B, pick up your control item, tapping 1 to do that, hitting enter, let go of everything. I'm not holding anything down. My hands aren't on the mouse or not on the keyboard. Put the control item back down, anywhere, really doesn't matter where. Now here we go. We want to raise this guy up. So when we raise it up, you're going to click or left click on the chandelier once. The menu pops up. We are then going to hold LMB, again, left mouse button, right? Hold LMB on this button that says move. Do not let it go. Hold it. While holding it, now start to hold R&B at the same time. Now let go of LMB. Still holding R&B. Still holding R&B. Tap LMB once while still holding R&B. And now it's red. Let go of everything. No hand on the keyboard, no hand on the mouse. Start scrolling up with your cursor. Could be, and if you want to wait for it to go blue, we're hoping for a miracle because we got table items here. Oh, it actually doesn't mind so much, but it actually does go blue. So if it goes blue, you can confirm it. But let's just say that you want it right here and it's red. And you're thinking, goodness, I got a problem. Easy fix. All we have to do, this is going to be at the same time. Whatever the number of your hotkey and left mouse button. Again, LMB, right? So in my case, it's 1 and LMB. Could be 2 for you, could be 3, whatever your number is. So at the same time, you're going to click anywhere on the open floor. Once, right? I click them both together at the same time. Same time. It goes blue. Hit space to confirm it. I want to keep this here. And the chandelier will stay here. I promise you. You don't have to confirm this again. There's nothing else. There's no extra clicks you got to do here. Just that. Exit out. And let's go ahead and go in and out. Let's remember where it's at, right? It's above. That's where I want it. Let's go in and out. And ta-da, it's still there. So let's just say that, you know what? I think I want this, I don't know, I want it lower. I want it touching this thing. I don't know why, right? But I do. So let's just filter out our control item again. Make sure that that's good to go. It's already placed down somewhere, highlighted, perfect. And click on the chandelier once, just L and B to open up the menu. Same thing so we can alter the height. Holding L and B on this button, holding it, holding it. Now holding R and B and L and B at the same time. Lift up your finger from L and B. Still holding R and B, right? Tap L and B once. Let go of everything. You can start scrolling. And let's just say I want it right there. Once I have it at my desired height, anywhere on open floor, the hotkey number and LMB at the same time, together, exact same time. In my case, it's 1 and LMB. Open floor right here, 1 LMB. It's blue, space to confirm, and that's it. So something I do want to note, let's start it from the beginning again, because this is an error that people might get. Put it down normally, right? So same thing, we're going to start from the beginning, pick up the chandelier. Let's just pretend I want it right here. Gonna go ahead and use normal stacking, science, hold R and B, picking up 1, or pressing 1 to pick up my control item, hitting enter, so holding R and B, let go, put 1 back down, or the item back down, confirm it, right? The reason we confirm this is we need this to be blue when we start messing with things again. If it's not, this is what happens. So let's just say that, but you kind of forget about this. You start messing around with other things, and you're thinking, well, what about this bottle? And I don't know, I was doing something over here. Anyway, you get kind of distracted. You come back to the chandelier. Oh, in this case, it's still blue. Let's see, like this. Watch. Like usually, if you click, oh, it's red. You can't do that. Whoop. And it's like, oh, my bad, forgot. I don't know why I started messing with that. Let's go back to the chandelier. If you go back, it's still blue. Usually that doesn't happen. Usually it's red. Let's try. Yeah, I'm purposely trying to make it red. Okay. Okay, there we go. If you're trying to start the process and it is not blue, it's red, quick fix, hit escape, just get out of that, pick up your control item, put it back down, it'll now be blue. And then rinse and repeat. So hold L and B on this button, hold R and B together, right? L and B, R and B. Lift up my finger from L and B, tap L and B once, let go of everything, start scrolling. I want it right here. Okay, so then I'm gonna anywhere on open floor, hotkey number in addition to L and B at the same time. So for me, it's one L and B. Space to confirm because now it's blue. Perfect. Now, how about if I wanted to layer chandeliers right on top of each other? Works the same. So I'm going to do this in the same area. I'm going to pick up another chandelier. And it's very easy to layer chandeliers because you can literally just line up that little chain or the rope. Mine's probably not going to be perfect right now because we're just kind of messing around, but granted that you're taking the time and you're looking up close and all that stuff, it's all you got to pay attention to. So we're just going to pretend that that's super perfect. Gonna go ahead and stack the item here, just using the main stacking method. So just holding R and B, pressing 1, put the control item back down, confirming this, and then here we go. Click on the chandelier, make sure it's blue, hold L and B on this button, hold R and B, lift up your finger from L and B, tap L and B once, let go of everything, and start scrolling your mouse wheel. Once you get it to its desired length, you can also turn it around. I want to add that, by the way. Again, I'll turn it around for this one. There we go. And let's just say I want it right. Again, this looks a little crazier. Let's just say I want it right here. Okay, once I have it ready, again, I'm not holding anything, not pressing anything special. All we're doing at the same time, anywhere on open floor, you are clicking the number of your hotkey in addition to L and B. So just 1, L and B, space, and there they are. And let's just leave one more time and we'll come back so that we know they are exactly where they need to be. And there we go. Ta-da! Some last key things I wanted to mention. This is specifically about exterior decorating. The main method does work for the exterior and interior. However, for the exterior, we can't do that wall stacking stuff, right? So that's not going to work. The other thing being when it comes to ghost stacking or the temporary removal, in some cases it does work for certain items. When it comes to plants, that's where it starts to get, kind of upset. You can temporarily move the flowers out of the way, but even when you're trying to pick up the item, or maybe you temporarily move the maze shrubs out of the way, but it's still registering as if the items are there. It doesn't get fold as easily as the interior is, I guess is the best way to put it. So it sometimes works, just kind of depends. But when that doesn't work, can always go back to what I like to call blank canvas or second set of eyes. Resetting your canvas so that you have that power to place something down in a built area that already has a lot of plants so that you can avoid having to remove everything and then kind of start over. So just wanted to mention that, make sure that that was noted as well. Really want to thank you guys for tuning in today and for going over all those methods and the different tips and tricks when it comes to decor and just stacking in general. Just want to let you guys know there is going to be very soon, should be here in the next few hours, a new video on the long-awaited new method or methods for what I refer to as mid-air stacking. So this is interior and exterior. And in addition to that, a sort of branch off, raising curtains mid-air and showing you guys what that's all about. I'll also be doing 3 separate video features for some requested items that people would like for me to show the breakdown on the build for said items, such as the stripper pole staircase, different kind of staircases, and ideas for a second floor in general, and kind of how I went about mine. So I'll be discussing that here in the next upcoming videos. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Reach out if you have anything you want to ask or just for anything really. Appreciate y'all so much. Later, skaters.